Hi, welcome to Coffee and Closers. I'm Nikolai Bador, and I want to personally invite you to join me and one of today's top performing sales stars for a cup of coffee and authentic conversation. And our collective goal is that you will walk away with tangible knowledge that you can apply to your sales efforts today. Are you ready? We'll grab a cup, fill it up, and let's get into another episode of Coffee and Closers.
But before we get started, I want to kind of bring some people up so you guys can put a face to a name of the people that helped make this free. This would not be possible with these folks. So, Andy, you want to come up from Motive Power? Come on up. All right, man. Good. Come on up, Adam. All right. And then Emma, you want to come up here from WeWork? Oh, you're right there. So these are the 2018 sponsors. And instead of me telling this story, other than Jeff is suffering traffic from Red Birch Recruiting. I'm going to sub in from him. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do and who you serve and anything you want to fill in?
Hi there. So my name's Andy Mudry. I work for Motive Power. It's a woman-owned small business. We're a project management consulting company. So our strategy is basically to focus on business process optimization, change management initiatives, system integration, as well as PMO implementation. I'd be happy to talk with anyone after the session today.
And in English, what that means is for us scatterbrains, these guys keep us locked and loaded, right? So I'm Jeff Sorensen today. Just kidding. He's taller and better looking. But anyway, he runs Red Birch Recruiting, and I've known Jeff for a long, long time. He was hand-selected as one of those recruiting specialists for the sales market, serves you guys to help you find places that you're celebrated. It is Q4. We all know what that means. So if Q1 is a place you want to start shopping around and seeing what else is out there, Jeff Sorensen at Red Birch is a fantastic resource.
Good morning. My name is Adam Thompson. I'm the owner of Focal Point Coaching. I'm the coaching and training arm of Coffee and Closers. And sales is about grit, and it's about hustle, and it's about hard work, certainly. But it's also about process and focus and planning and doing the right thing. And that's where I come in. I work with clients on establishing goals, establishing a plan to reach those goals, and then putting the actions in place to do what you need to do. And most importantly, make sure you're actually doing that, staying focused on what matters, what's most important in order to crush your goals, crush your numbers. If you want to talk about it, I'm here. I'd love to chat. Adam Thompson.
Hey, everybody. I just wanted to extend a warm welcome. My name is Emma, and I work with WeWork. I'm a community management team member here, and we are not only really proud to host Coffee and Closers and provide space for the event, but also to have Nikolai and Allison in our space as community members. Here at WeWork, we are dedicated to creating an amazing community of people and in intentionally designed spaces and providing a lot of services that allow you to just get your business done. So if you're online listening, head over to wework.com for more information. And if you're here in the audience today and you want to learn a little bit more, stop by the front desk and one of our team members would love to show you around.
These are your 2018 sponsors. Please put your hands together. Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right, my name is Nikolai Bador. When I'm not doing this, I run a revenue growth agency called BBG, kind of a boutique revenue growth arm. It's badorbusinessgroup.com. I'd love to tell you more, but you're not here for that, right? What's going to happen in the next hour is for the first 30 minutes, we're going to record a podcast and a vlog version of a few questions I'm going to ask our guest, Rob. And this is being recorded by Jensen Studios, who we love, so put your hands together for those guys. And then after that, we're going to pull the plug, okay? This is now, after that, that's your show. So any questions that you guys want to know about sales development leadership, about sales leadership, about sales, about the NFL, that's your turn to ask, all right? Everyone understand how we're going to do this? Sound fun? All right. So with what we do, we get a chance to create relationships with some of the top names in sales in the country. And Rob is absolutely no exception. Now, the unique thing about Rob is Rob was one of the first guys that I ever met when I moved up here from Colorado. All right? He was working for the NFL, and I was just retiring as an elite athlete from the NFL. What, I can't have a dream? I mean, come on, Stefan Diggs, we're like the same height. Anyway, that is not true. Rob was working in the NFL, and I was just cutting my teeth at a place called McKinley Group. But fast forward to now. We're here and happy to be, but Rob has built himself out to be one of the premier SDR leaders in our state. And if you don't know what SDR means, it's sales development rep. So in other words, it's it's the job you get when you're just getting out of college. It's a job you get when you're switching industries and you want to get in technology. In other words, it's a hard, grinded job. But what makes it so impressive of the success he's had is that every 5 years, our society's we have a mental shift, right? Technology changes, but the one thing that never changes is hot-headed salespeople trying to get into sales. The pain in the ass factor that they bring to the table, that never changes. And somehow Rob has been able to coach and mentor these people throughout that position, but also onto success. And a lot of AEs, a lot of field reps around town here, they look to Rob as thanks for who got them started. So without further ado, I would love to introduce you to Robert Finney. Thanks, man. All right, buddy. So I kind of glossed over about 2 decades of detail. Do you want to fill us in on who Rob Finney is?
Rob Finney is a teacher, coach, father, friend, in a nutshell. I've done a lot of different things in my lifetime. Started out as a teacher, coach, teaching and coaching in Minnetonka, going on to working at the NFL as a drug enforcement agent. The players hated to see. That was me. Going into working at Oracle and other companies in sales and sales development and sales leadership. So that's Rob in a nutshell.
So you've had kind of 2 lives, man. Like kind of 2 lives, right? You have the NFL thing. You've been a coach all along. But could you walk us through how you coach SDRs? So how did you get your start into technology sales?
I started as an SDR for Oracle. So I actually had to learn the processes, be that person. So when I'm actually coaching, I've actually done the job. I've gotten hung up on. I've gotten screamed at. I've had people call me every name imaginable. So I learned those things. And by learning those things, you're able to translate and actually understand what your SDRs are going through. You understand how they feel. You understand when that person says, "Why are you calling me?" You understand when that phone goes click and you're like, "Oh my God, did I just fail?" You understand those concepts.
Very cool. So since it sounds like you do things like you've done them, so you can look at your reps and you said, "I've sat in your shoes." So when you were sitting down and testing drugged out NFL players, are you like, "I have sat in your shoes"? Is that no?
No, that wasn't the case with those guys. It was more so with
just for
them.
clarification at home.
Yep. For those guys, it was more so, "Come on, man, let's not try this." Okay. We know that you have to take the test. If you don't take the test, you will get suspended. So let's not play games with each other.
And something that's really interesting about your coaching and that background is the SDR profile. I mean, I was a hot-headed, that's why I can say this, I was a hot-headed person who wanted to get into sales. I had a chip on my shoulder. I was, kind of bouncing from technology sales to something else, back into technology sales, and I had to humble myself. That's a unique profile, and the only profile that I've seen with that kind of, at least my attitude, I'm not going to speak for everybody, was kind of these athletes, right? Especially these highly paid athletes. These aren't college people trying to get to the NFL. Once they're in the NFL, they've got that chip on their shoulder.
Right.
Have you seen that translate?
It definitely does. It definitely does, because you have these guys who have been pampered or thought to be made like they're extremely special. When you then become one of 53, you're not as special as you thought you were. And I think that's the biggest thing, is helping them translate and navigate that mentality. That's where the coaching comes into play with SDRs, because many of them were very good at what they did in school or in another role. And now you're coming into a situation where, in all honesty, you're probably the lowest on the totem pole in terms of the sales department. But you're probably the most important in the sales department, because you're building the pipeline that these $1 million account reps are closing. So you have to help them translate that market space as well.
Very interesting. Something that I like to run to right off the bat is, you've been very successful. That is, there's no question. But we all often learn, from our failures. And so I would love to hear maybe of a time or times of some failure where you accepted a challenge, it didn't go so well, and what you learned from that and grew from.
The funny thing about that is, I was actually listening to a radio show the other day, and it was about PJ Fleck and the University of Minnesota football team, and his stance on how the team is not as good as they are today because they're playing all these young players, but they actually will be better year 4, 5, 6 down the road. And there was a statement or a quote that was made during that's kind of resonated with me the past couple of days. And it was based upon this. It says that failure is like the condiment to success. And that's kind of stuck with me. And what that means to me is you have to fail to succeed. If I sat here and told you I've never failed, I'd be lying to you immensely. I fail every day. There's something every day that I don't do as well as I want to do it. But the thing that keeps me going is the fact that I want to do it. The fact that I want to do it better. And I think that's the key thing. I've failed at being a parent. I've failed at being a husband. I've failed at being a boss. I've failed at everything. But the desire to keep going and to get better is the key thing. And if you are afraid to fail, then you're afraid to succeed. It's that simple. You have to take that risk. You have to take the risk on yourself, because if you don't take the risk on yourself, who the heck's going to take the risk on you? It's that simple.
Can I get a clap? That was just, I'm getting goosebumps, man. You know, something that we've seen throughout these episodes, and we celebrate our 1-year anniversary of doing the Coffee and Closers last month during Startup Week, is we had some unique episodes, right? More themed episodes. And one theme that we found that came out of that is that sales does not live in the sales box. It's in our everyday lives. It's getting our kids to eat broccoli. It's, you know, I don't want to keep going on the coaching path, but, and I apologize because I'm totally going off. I'm going rogue here, but I'm just so curious, just that how it translates back and forth is, failure is in our everyday lives. Everyone's failed, whether it's at work or, like you said, as a father. And I know I'm there too. As a coach, though, you know, you've mentored, you've coached sales athletes, if you will, and also athletes coming on up. Can you talk to us a little bit more about when somebody looks at you and says, I just can't. It's one thing to reflect on internally how we get over failure, but how do you teach how to get over failure to somebody else? Because I think that'd be really hard.
That's an extremely fun thing to do for me, to be perfectly honest, because when someone's mind is telling them I can't do, you have to show them how they can do. It's a process. You know, we so easily put limitations on ourselves. I can't do this. I shouldn't be able to do that. But when you actually can go with a person, work with a person, and tangibly take them to where you want them to be, and you help them, you show them, you support them, you let them know that I'm your biggest coach, I'm your biggest cheerleader, I got your back. Those simple things, or even, I learned this with my kids, the simple thing of just sending a text message to my daughter saying, I'm proud of you. We don't, as bosses, as leaders, don't realize how that simple statement carries so much weight, helps that individual feel better about what it is that they're doing. So if you're trying to change a behavior, if you're trying to change a process, if you're trying to help someone do something that they didn't think they could do, and you're supporting them, you're pushing them up, you're pulling them up, and you're saying things, I'm proud of you. That is a very, very strong statement. I see it with my kids all the time. If I just make that simple statement, and I genuinely mean it, then what they're able to do in their minds, how they're able to move forward, is a big deal. So when someone is struggling with a potential change, or struggling with a process change, or struggling with trying to reach a goal, when you're supporting them and letting them know that I have your back, I'm here, that's important. On the same token, you have to be that same person that's not afraid to kick them in the behind. But when you've built credibility with an individual, you can do both, and they know that both of those things are coming from a position of support, love, trust, all of those things.
That's beautiful, man. So what I took away from that is kick people, and you'll get them to do it. No, not that. Okay. You know, down your, sorry, hey, if you guys have been here before, you know this is kind of part of the deal. You know, down that road, you mentioned something. I've never met your sister, but something that runs deep through you is that mental, that emotional intelligence. I mean, if there's one thing, if I could say, Rob Finney is emotional intelligence, because you have to have emotional intelligence to also teach emotional intelligence. But you brought up your sister, and I don't want to, you know, kind of sidetrack, but she kind of, you guys eat from the same menu, we'll say.
Yes, it's a funny thing. Growing up, you know, we had our parents, my mom, my dad. My dad was a factory worker. He made beer in Milwaukee for Joseph Schlitz Brewery Company. Worked hard. But when the brewery decided to move away from Milwaukee, my dad completely reinvented himself. He went from being a brewery worker to being a software engineer. That's a hell of a leap. Hell of a leap. But he did it. So he created a legacy, per se, for my sister and myself, that to reinvent yourself, it's okay. My mom has reinvented herself post my dad's passing. It's okay. So my dad worked for a company called Digital Equipment Corporation. They moved us to Minnesota. He went on to work for Microsoft and EMC. Both my sister and I completely resisted technology. We wanted no part of it. We started out in early 80s of having a VT100 in the corner of our house, which was a green monochrome colored computer where our dad made us program. We hated it.
He made you program.
Yes, we hated it. Building little centipede things across, just hated it. Both of us hated it. My sister went in to be an epidemiologist with the World Health Organization. Now she runs a technology startup in Atlanta for minority-owned women. That's what she does.
Amen.
I'm on the sales side. That's what I do. It's kind of funny because our father passed away about 16 years ago, and that's when both of us kind of made that switch at his passing. It was like, wow, okay, we finally, in his life, hearing his words, it'd probably be, you finally saw the light. But that's what we both are doing now. So we both are on different sides of the house doing different things within technology, but still in technology.
What a fantastic story. How many people are here are at that point, and you're not being recorded, so no one can see you at home? That maybe in that transition. You know what I mean? It tends to be the New Year's revolution, we like to call it, where people start thinking a different way. Is anybody, okay, so some people are just looking at life saying, I might want to shake things up. If it's technology sales, not to veer us back, generally the place you're going to start is the SDR role. I mean, I had to do it. Most people had to do it. That's where you cut your teeth. That's where you learn how to get things done. So when you get into that AE role, you've had those bruises and those scars, so you know how to advance a deal quicker, faster, better. I would love to hear how you build your SDR teams, like the person you look for, because it isn't about a resume at this point. It's about that they got that thing.
Right. I've been fortunate. I've had a group of individuals that I've been able to work with through various companies that embody the same characteristic. I look at a lady like Molly right here. Molly was in choir, very competitive in terms of choir and singing and those things. I look at a lady like Victoria, who sold technology door to door, who sold all kinds of other things, who also played a little lacrosse. I look at another guy I had like Alec Fisher, who played hockey in college, did those things. My point being is, the common thread between those three individuals was really simple. They wanted to be the best. They wanted to be better today than they were yesterday. And when you're able to uncover those things within an individual, to me, that's the biggest thing. If you're a leader, you should have the ability to teach the other things to those individuals. But the things that you cannot teach within an individual is to want something, to have desire. And the desire can take place within any given field or light. You just have to find that in that person and then push them to greatness. That's the biggest thing.
Amen. Let me clap again. I mean, this is, you're giving me shivers, man. This is really inspiring. What's your crown jewel? People say they don't, but I just disagree. Everyone's got that one thing, that success story, or that overcome, or that thing that they just really, it's their feather in their hat, and you always look back on it when you're having a bad day and say, yeah, I did that, and I'm really proud of it. Do you have something like that?
Yeah, I do. There's a lot. I think the biggest thing for me was transitioning from education to business. People always look at teachers, educators as being inferior to people in business. And I like to think it's the exact opposite. By having to stand up in front of sixth graders who are really hormonal and trying to teach sex ed and all those fun things, to standing in front of or sitting in front of you guys today, you guys are easy. This is simple. I'm way comfortable. So I look at the fact that having the ability to have had done teaching and educating, to having to be in business, That's the biggest crown jewel, making that transition. I know a lot of teachers that have struggled to make that transition out of education. Some have taken 15, 16 years because businesses would not take a chance on them because they didn't have a traditional path. For me, I think it was the best thing ever, ever. I'm not afraid to talk in front of anybody at any time about anything. My family thinks I'll be a Walmart greeter when I retire. I'm looking forward to that day.
I think if a guy like you was at the door, I think all of us would actually go to Walmart. Anyone? All right, I got one question. I'm being selfish, I know. And then we're going to open up to you guys is, what would you sell? You work with a lot of SDRs probably at a younger in their career, whether it's switching industries or not, but what would you tell yourself if you were in their position, knowing what you know now, what's the advice that you would guide them with?
Do not shortchange the journey. Okay? We all wish, hope, pray that we can get to this pinnacle as quick as possible. But the journey is where you learn the skills that make you successful once you reach the pinnacle. If I would have shortchanged the journey, I would have never been a teacher. I would have never worked for the NFL. I would have never done those things, which each one of those things I've taken bits and pieces from to build who I am today. And to be perfectly honest, who I am today will not be who I am tomorrow, because I'm going to take bits and pieces from what I'm learning today and add to me. I have to continue to keep growing. So my biggest advice to people is do not shortchange the journey. Take every opportunity to learn. If you're in an SDR role, become the best hunter there possibly is. Because if you are so darn good at hunting, any business looking for an account executive or salesperson is going to want you because you know how to feed yourself. That's the biggest thing. Learn how to connect with people. Learn how to talk to people. Learn how to figure out what they need and what they don't need. And learn it's okay to say, you know what, we just aren't right for each other right now. But let's keep in contact with each other. Those individuals are the ones who then refer individuals to you because you didn't try to force something down their throat. It's that simple. Continue to be a living organism and grow. Push yourself to that point.
Rob Finney, after decades of knowing you, you are still the man. Thank you so much. Put your hands together.
Thank you.
All right, so what do we think? What'd you learn? Well, if you like that, check out coffeeclosers.com for upcoming episodes, recordings, and more. And don't forget to check out our sponsors. Each one has been hand-selected. They are best in class. Until next time, we'll see you at the next Coffee and Closers. Cheers.
Come on, live a life we love. Gotta live, I said live a life we love.